Japanese back squat PRs, Loradena Toma's snatches, the world's filthiest lockout of all time, and Chad Wesley Smith calls into the show. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Weightlifting House news show, the only weightlifting news show in the world. Now guys, before we start, don't forget that you can head over to weightliftinghouse.com and grab yourselves t-shirts, straps, books, barbells and plates, so I can actually fit them in the room, though they are absolutely stunning, thumb tape and a whole load of more stuff. Also, don't forget, head over to Virus International and use discount code weightliftinghouse, all one word, all lowercase, and you'll get 10% off all Virus clothing. I was wearing their hoodie, tracksuit, coat thing that they have, shorts all of last week, absolutely superb clothing. So that's code weightliftinghouse for 10% off in the USA and Europe. Now let's kick things off with Team China, as we so often do. And we're going to start with the newer 81 Lu Delin, who I mentioned I wasn't going to mention too many more times, so I'm going to cram his big list in the last couple of weeks into this one slot, and then hopefully he disappears off the scene for a while, because quite frankly we've seen enough of him. So 81 kilo Lu Delin hit a 280 kilo back squat. Now this is, in comparison to what Lu can currently do, a little bit more. You know, we've basically only seen Lu go up to about 270 kilos. And by Lu, I'm now talking about Lu Yajun. We've seen Lu Yajun go up to about 270 kilos over the last couple of years. His best ever, 305 kilos. So this 280 kilos from Lu Delin is actually a little bit better. Compared to Li Dayin, I'm not quite sure. We haven't seen so many videos of him squatting, though I have filmed him in the past front squatting in training. Also this week, Lu Delin hit a 170 kilo bench press, which I guess is basically equal to his best ever snatch, at least from the floor. So there's a 1-to-1 ratio there between the snatch and the bench press, which actually fits about right with me. I'm not sure how it works out with everyone else. Leave a comment down below, let us know which is higher. But I guess that's about 1-to-1 for him. 170 snatch, 170 bench press for 81 kilo Lu Delin. Next from Team China, we have 109 kilo Yang Zhe, posted by perfectlift.cn on Instagram. There'll be a link somewhere for you guys to follow them. And this week, well, the thing with Yang Zhe, and I've always called him Yang Zi, but I've been told that I need to get my pronunciations better. So Yang Zhe, the thing about him is he's such a phenomenal snatcher, but we see so little footage of him. I'm actually sitting on quite a few training sessions from him that I'll post at some point soon. But whenever we do see something happen in training, it's worth a mention, even if it is, you know, a few kilos under anything we've seen him do before. So his competition best, of course, is 197 kilos that he hit at the World Championships for a world record, which he then lost in the next lift and the one after that. But he just posted on Instagram a video of a 170 kilo snatch. Of course, that's about 85% of his best. We've seen him do 200 before. In fact, I think I've even seen him do 205 kilos in the hang snatch before. Then in this training session, he hit a 220 kilo snatch deadlift. Of course, he can't snatch it. Lasher can. Few else can. Maybe Lovjev in the past. But even so, he pulls that really nicely, and then just does some standing rollouts, which for a guy who's 109 kilos, probably about 5'10", and he's actually incredibly broad and thick when you see him in person. That's really impressive for him to be doing standing rollouts. Now we actually have another Chinese 109 who I've never really mentioned on the podcast before, or on the YouTube channel for that matter. Posted by Dr. Steph Performance. It's of Wu Changsheng, another 109 kilo lifter who's actually really up there with Yang Zhe in terms of the clean and jerk. Now his snatching, I'm not quite sure where that stands. I haven't really seen much from him. But in the clean and jerk, this week he hit 221 kilos. Of course, the world record is 240, so still some 19 kilos below, just over 90%. But even so, he then went on to attempt 226. He cleaned it but missed the jerk. And then in the following training session, came back and hit 223 kilos. Now the most we've seen from Yang Zhe is probably only around 227 kilos, I believe, is the most he's done in competition. So he's only a few kilos below that. He looks really young. He looks like he might not have even quite filled out that 109 kilo weight class yet. So at least for now, I think we're going to sort of shelve Wu Changsheng as the successor to Yang Zhe after maybe the following Olympics. Maybe Yang's going to have another quad in him. Who knows? Next, and finally from China, posted by Shenzhen Weightlifting, we have the 55 kilo snatch world record holder, Li Yajun. Now, Li hit 102 kilos in the snatch, I believe at the 2018 World Championships in Ashgabat. That's where she set that snatch world record of 102 kilos. But she just posted a video in training of 120 kilos, which is pretty close to the most we've seen from her. I think in the past she's done as much as 127 kilos in competition. So this 120, 7 kilos off, but still pretty close. But the strange thing about Yajun, the two-time world champion, is that we're actually not going to see her in Tokyo next year at the Olympics. Despite being a two-time world champion, despite holding the Snatch world record, she sits in 4th place in terms of Roby points in that 55 kilo weight class. Above her are 3 of her teammates from China sitting in positions 1, 2 and 3, and she's down there somehow in 4th, which is just criminal that we're going to have someone who is the best in the world at something, someone who has won repeatedly world championships, who's not going to go. And I guess she's just one of the many Chinese weightlifters who's going to fall prey to this new qualification system, which, if you still don't understand, I did a video on last week. You can find that on the Weightlifting House channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like, by the way. Now, for those of you who don't quite remember Yajun, if you haven't seen her win those 2 World Championships titles, this might jog your memory. Back in 2016 at the Olympic Games, despite being way out in the lead in the snatch and way out in the lead kind of in the clean and jerk, she opened at about 17 kilos, I think it was 17, might have been 13, kilos above the person who was in the lead at that point because she was so far above in her abilities. I guess she wanted to take a stab perhaps at the Olympic record or the world record at the time. She opened and she missed. Then to buy some time, in fact because another weightlifter just decided to put in an attempt even though everyone else had finished, put in an attempt, so to buy some time she went up to, I think it was 126 kilos from 123. She missed that, and then she came out again and she missed that, and she could have just gotten away with 110 kilos on her first attempt and then made a jump, but she didn't. Her coaches, or she, got a bit selfish and she went up and she tragically lost the gold medal. It was literally right there. It's the kind of clean and jerk that she would hit 3 lifts back in the warm-up room before even coming out, and it was absolutely brutal to watch. But that might be where some of you remember the name Yajun. Moving over now to Taiwan, we have Hsing Chun, everybody's favourite technician, who posted a video. It was actually an old video. It was from October, just after the World Championships last year, of her first time ever hitting 195 kilos in the back squat. Now, she has done 200 kilos since. I mentioned it a few weeks ago. That's one of the only videos she's actually posted in a while. But this 195 moved very smoothly and she was incredibly happy afterwards. Kind of bunny hopped away, did the same bunny hop move that I filmed her doing at the World Championships last year after she snatched, I think it was 100 kilos, and she starts bunny hopping away just because I guess she always has a lot of fun while she's training. But anyway, 195 as a 59 kilo athlete is truly absurd. Across now to South Korea, we have the super heavy, the 81 plus kilo junior world record holder in the snatch, clean and jerk and total. It's Park Hye-Jeong. She's 16 years old, and back in the day, well, back like a year ago, she set all of these world records in the junior category. Then all the competitions ended because of what's going on around the world, and so she wasn't able to compete, and her training over the last 9 months has been insane. She just hit a 135 kilo block power clean plus 2 cleans plus jerk. Her junior world record is 145. She's also done in the past, in episodes that I've mentioned, 160 kilos in the block clean. I think she even went 180 at one point but didn't jerk it. And then also this week 120 kilos for a snatch double off blocks, which again 5 kilos over her junior world record. So she really is poised at one of these future online IWF competitions, or hopefully when the real competitions returns, to set 3 entirely new junior world records in the snatch, clean and jerk and total. And then finally from South Korea, it's my boy, the 102 kilo Yun-Seong, who I actually put up a video of recently. In fact, it's probably playing right now next to me, of him versus Yousefi at the World Championships. 102 kilo lifters, they battled it out incredibly well for that gold and silver. In fact, Yun-Seong took the gold in the snatch at 181 kilos. He then hit 216 in the clean and jerk. Yousefi a kilo less at 180 in the snatch. Then he went for 219, I think, or maybe it was 220 in the clean and jerk. 219 it was for the gold. But anyway, so at the World Championships, Yun-Seong hit 181, 216. He just had a kind of in-house national competition where he hit the exact same total, but he kind of switched things around ever so slightly. 180 kilos in the snatch, 1 kilo down from his performance at the World Championships. But then 217 kilos, 1 kilo up, and maybe the most we've seen from him. We've seen him hit 215 a bunch of times. I think we've even seen him clean 220 before. He mentioned a while ago that he was going to give 220 a go, but this is a 217 that we see from him. But great performance from him. He then attempted a 160 kilo snatch triple. Now, obviously not in the competition, that would be absolutely absurd to do a triple on the competition platform, but he tries it in training, makes the first 2 reps, and then just gets spat out by the second or by the third, and just, you know, runs the length of the training hall, getting away from the bar. But that's the kind of lift that there aren't actually that many, well, there aren't even that many 109s when you think about the most popular 109s around the world who are capable of cracking out a 160 triple so effortlessly. And the fact that he can now, Yun-Seong, gain another 7 kilos in body weight to try and compete at the Olympic Games as a 109, I can see him moving his snatch from that 180 range up to the 188 kind of range, and maybe the clean jerk closer to 225 could be enough to put in a real threat at the Olympic Games. Perhaps not for a medal position, in fact almost certainly not for a medal position, but he might start, you know, bumping up against a lot of the kind of well-known, the more established 109 names that we think of in that weight class. Okay, let's move over to Japan, where we have 2 enormous squat PRs. The first one from Toshiki-senpai, Toshiki Yamamoto, the newly 96 kilo lifter, who just hit 321 kilos. Now, it was at some kind of exhibition event. One of my friends was over there, the guy who posts on the page We Lift Weights. You should check them out on Instagram, YouTube, and website. They have a lot of great interviews and that sort of thing. In fact, I'm doing, in conjunction with him, an interview with Toshiki Yamamoto that I'll be posting on the YouTube channel next week or the week after. Then the remainder of it will all be on his, just giving him some promotion there. So check that stuff out if you're interested. But he just hit this 321 kilo lift. Before this, his best ever was 320 kilos. And then in the build up to this, he hit 300, 311, 321. But as a 96 kilo lifter, as far as I know, that might be the most we've ever seen, at least in recent years. Of course, Tiantao's done 320 kilos, and you know there's a strong chance he can do more. In fact, there was actually a comment by the Squat Jerk journalist under the post of Toshiki saying, sort of calling out Tiantao and saying 322 ? So hopefully we'll see that at some point. Then of course we've also seen Saurabh Maradi hit 320 kilos at least once, maybe twice, but never any more. So currently right now, the leader of the squats in that 96 kilo weight class is Toshiki Yamamoto. It's just a shame you can't snatch and jerk with those guys too, but he can certainly block clean with them. Next from Japan, another enormous squat, we have Ashira Murakami, aka the Tank Murakami, who hit a PR also, 804 pounds, that is 365 kilos. And I think he also got a vibrating squat PR too. He is well known as he re-racks his weight for just absolutely going for it. The bar starts oscillating, he is unable to stop it, and he's had a few real near misses actually in the back squat as he's tried to reload the bar, which we might find and play on this video if you're watching on YouTube rather than listen to the podcast. And guys, don't forget actually, if you are a YouTube watcher, just head over to the Weightlifting House podcast. We've got over 1 million downloads. We have interviews with basically every weightlifter and every coach that you can think of who speaks English. Over 400 episodes in total, so go check those out. Lots of great insight from the best coaches and athletes in the world. But anyway, this 365 kilo back squat from Ashira Murakami, it is enormous. I mean, we haven't seen this kind of weight from guys like Glasher in the past, from Fernando Reis. In fact, the only people I can think of off the top of my head, we've seen an enormous squat in the past from Hussein Rezazadeh, Mart Saim, Berdad Salimi, and a few others hit these kinds of weights in the past, but not for a long time. So 365 from Ashira Murakami is really worth mentioning. Okay, so it's time we moved over now to Iran for Alireza Yousefi, the oldest 16-year-old weightlifter in the world. Now, when Alireza was 15, he set all new junior world records in the snatch, clean and jerk in total with 171, 225, and I guess 396 in the total. I had to do that off the top of my head, that was terrifying. And this week he just hit 173 kilos for an unofficial junior world record. And now he's 16, but the guy looks like he's 47. Seriously, I mean, it's quite remarkable just how developed this kid is. But anyway, age 15 he was snatching 171, age 16 173. Hopefully we'll start seeing him progress even faster so that by the time he's in his 20s, he's able to give guys like Rezazadeh, Salimi, and some of the better Iranian weightlifters that we've ever seen a run for their money. But anyway, in the meantime, do go follow Alireza Yousefi at It's Alireza Yousefi on Instagram. Now guys, don't forget this week's episode, and in fact all episodes of the Weightlifting House News Show are brought to you by Red H Nutrition. My favourite supplements are supplements that I now exclusively use, the supplements that I recommend to other athletes that I coach or that I just generally work with. Red H Nutrition supplements are genuinely ridiculously tasty. They are of course WADA friendly, which is the most important thing. Whey protein, I've got a joint support thing here, which for me, for those of you who know me, who've been following me for years, joint support is ridiculously important to me. I've got super reds here, super greens inside. The reds just act as, I guess, a bunch of antioxidants and healthy things that you tend to maybe not get in your diet when you're a bulking athlete trying to go from 73 kilos to 109 kilo weight classes. So that stuff just keeps you kind of feeling healthy. But guys, don't forget you can use code WEIGHTHOUSE15, capital W, capital H for 15% off all Red H Nutrition products. So you can support the podcast by supporting them, let them become your new supplement provider. That's code WEIGHTHOUSE15, weight and house, capital W, capital H, the link's down below, 15% off all supplements. Now of course we've got to keep up with Qatar Meso Hassona. He is a Weightlifting House favourite, and this week he hit a PR in the push press, power clean and push press at 170 kilos. Now considering his best jerk ever is 228 that he hit the Qatar Cup recently, that is 75% of his jerk for his push press, which probably seems about right. His best ever power clean, however, is 200 kilos, and he hit that, I think it was at the East Asian Championships, something along those lines last February. 200 kilos in the power clean, which is obviously enormous. But this 170, very strong from him. I kind of maybe expected that he could do more because he gets more height on his jerk than he does depth in that back knee. But even so, 170 for Meso Hassona is great lifting. He's also now, good news, back in Qatar. He was stuck in Uzbekistan for the longest amount of time, training fortunately though with Ruslan and Loradena. But now back in Qatar, the travel restrictions have been lifted, so we might see him get back to a little bit more regular style training. Moving across west now to Egypt, we have Hulk weightlifter aka Abdel Rahmen, who I think is maybe hopefully transitioning now into a, maybe not so much a peaking phase, but slightly more specific style of training phase. He's done a lot of power cleans, a lot of hang powers, a lot of push press, block, hang, snatch kind of work. And finally we've seen him actually put together some really nice singles in the snatch and clean and jerk. 190 kilos from the floor in the snatch. He also did it off blocks, but from the floor I guess is more important to us as weightlifters. And it looked really good, but of course that's still some 30 kilos under the world record. But then in the clean and jerk he just hit 240 kilos, which is enormous, and it looked very strong. The pull was great, the stand was easy. The jerk may be the most impressive part of the whole movement. But yeah, 240 kilos for him, 24 kilos under the world record, 26 kilos under the most weight we've ever seen in the clean and jerk in a competition, albeit this was in a training hall, but even so. So maybe when Egypt is no longer banned and can return to competition, we might finally see him return to the platform himself and maybe stir up a few things in the middle of the pack in that A group in the super heavyweight category. Over now to Romania, we have one of the more popular weightlifters in the world. We have the 2017 world champion in the old 63 kilo weight class. It's Loradena Toma. And this week she hit some really nice lifts. The first was a power snatch at 95 kilos. Well, sorry, it wasn't a power snatch, it was a pow snatch. And she even annotated pow pow, which is amazing that's catching on. It was first kind of created by Nat RM, who owns Hook Grip. He then told me to start spreading it. We're spreading the word of pow. It's not a snatch, it's not a power snatch, it's a pow snatch. And even Loradena, the world champion, is now using it. So guys, 95 kilos for a pow snatch from Toma, which is around 82% of her best ever snatch, which maybe seems slightly low considering that in the clean, we've seen a full clean 136. She did it at the Roma World Cup back in February. Back in January actually, because she's competing just before it turned into February. And we've seen her power clean 120 kilos quite easily, which is 88%. So whether that's just a discrepancy in her fatigue level and the period of training that she was in, it could well be it. Or maybe it's just that she is actually much better in the pull in the clean for some reason, which would strike me as strange considering how high her squat is relative to her deadlift. But even so, 95 kilos for a power snatch from Loradena. She then went and hit 110 kilos in the snatch, which I think it looked like she posted it on her TikTok page. I don't have TikTok, I don't get TikTok, Weightlifting House doesn't and probably will never have TikTok, but if you have it, then I guess you can add Loradena Toma on there. But she just hit this 110 kilos, which is really strong, and that's 6 kilos under the most she's ever done. She hit that 116 in the training hall, the World Championships last year. I was literally filming her, and then I walked away and she hit the 116, and I completely missed it. But you can watch it, I think Nat probably got the video of it somewhere. But anyway, 110 kilos for Loradena as she moves into the final year of training, as she hopes to beat out Deng Wei amongst others for that gold medal. But it does look like she's going to be a podium finisher at the Olympics. Latvia's 81 kilo Ritvars Suharev is just doing so well. I'm so thrilled to see it. I mean, I've been following him since he was probably 14 years old and only had a few hundred followers on Instagram. And now here he is, snatching 170 kilos from the floor, 3 kilos under the world record, a weight that he said in the description that he'd been dreaming of since he was a kid. And I'm just so happy for him to finally hit that kind of weight. He's now at that 170-200 range. He hit 200 a few months ago, and now he's just hit it twice within the same training week. 170-200 is gonna total. It's gonna podium at the Olympics this year. Someone from Team China is likely to win, whoever goes, so I imagine they're gonna injure Li Dayin in favour of Liu Jiajun taking that spot as his kind of send-off from the sport, and really he deserves that. Liu Jiajun deserves 2 Olympic Games. Maybe he'll get 3, who knows if Nijat Rahimov gets popped one day. But even so, 370 kilos is big, and like I said, I think it's going to be the sort of weight that can get a bronze medal, maybe even a silver medal at the Olympic Games next year. Now on to the worst lockout of all time. From Albania, it is Daniel Godelli. Now, Daniel Godelli is not known for his beautiful technique. He's no Zakharevich, he's no Ilya, he's no Deng Wei. He has some of the most rugged, horrible-looking lifting you've ever seen, but it's been enough on drugs to become a world champion, which of course he then lost that title, so you can't really say it anymore. But he has been a very good lifter in the past. But he just posted a video of a 200 kilo behind the neck jerk, and I mean, this guy catches it on a right angle of an elbow. It's absolutely atrocious. Strongest elbow extensors in the game, biggest triceps perhaps, I don't know. But it's just the most disgusting jerk I've ever seen. And for that, I wanted to give Daniel Godelli a big shout out. I doubt he watches the show, but if he does, Daniel Godelli, how are you doing that to me? Just enough of that, it's just too much. Okay, so over to Turkey, we have a lifter who I've not mentioned before. His name is Batu Yuksel. He's a 73 kilo weightlifter. He's 20 years old. Very few people know of him. In fact, his Instagram following is tiny. You can follow him at Batu Zan, like Lil Zan, Xan, on Instagram. And so he's this 20-year-old guy who hurt his elbow or his shoulder, something like that, so he can't jerk. So at the moment he's not competing, but he can snatch and he can clean. And he just hit 152 kilos in the snatch for PR. He only just hit 150 pretty recently, so 152 is fantastic progress for him. And then he went and cleaned 190 kilos, which just adds him to the pile of maybe 4 other weightlifters, maybe 5 if we include, people in training in that 73 kilo weight class who can clean 190 kilos. It's actually an incredibly competitive weight class, that 73 class, especially in the clean and jerk. Snatch, perhaps not so much. People seem to be a little bit further behind Xi, except perhaps for Bozidar Andreev, but who knows. But in the clean and jerk, we've now got another guy to add to that 190 kilo category. So great stuff there from Batu Yuksel. Over now in Belarus, we have Haranin Siarhei, the 89 kilo weightlifter, who you won't have seen compete a tremendous amount of time, but he is a multiple-time Belarusian national champion. But he has competed internationally in the kind of European junior age group type level. But he's doing really well. He just snatched 170 kilos, 9 kilos under the world standard. Of course, the world record has not yet been set, technically. And then in training this week, he hit 200 kilos in the clean and jerk effortlessly. The world record is 216, but I mean, the guy's still young, he's early 20s. He then hit 205 kilos for a block clean, a 270 kilo back squat, and then maybe more impressively, at least the closest to a true world record, a 210 kilo jerk off the block. So at the moment, Haranin's looking really good. He's got a lot of other Belarusians that he kind of needs to compete with. Of course, Belarus only gets 1 spot at the Olympics, and he won't get it because he's not competed enough. But amongst that sort of top Belarusian national squad of Yohannes Dzikantsu and Andre Romnau. He is now way up there, and he might be one of the 89s of the future. Okay, let's move up north now to the great land of Britain, where we have the 81 kilo national record holder and international competitor Chris Murray, who just hit a new PR in the total. He was competing over at Oxford Power Sports. He went 140 in the snatch, 173 in the clean and jerk for a 313 kilo total, which perhaps is not quite ready to start medaling at the European Championships, but he might start sneaking into the medal spots at the Commonwealth Games or the Commonwealth Championships, and hopefully at some point start pushing up into the medal positions at a major sort of senior international world championships type competition. But for now, 140, 173, he's improving incredibly fast. Fantastic lifting from Chris. And then down in the weight class below, we have 73 kilo Jonathan Chin, also from Great Britain, who had a tremendous week of training. He went 131, 162, so he equaled the British record in the snatch. He was 6 kilos over the clean and jerk national record with that 162. The record was 156. And then in this total, that's 7 kilos over the national record. So phenomenal lifting for him. I mean, 293 kilos in the total. Really awesome for a 73 kilo weightlifter, especially for someone who I believe is going through medical school right now. So really impressive stuff from Jonathan Chin. Across the Atlantic in Canada, Bodhi Santavi, 96 kilo lifter, just snatched 175 kilos on his final heavy day as he prepares for this online IWF competition. It's a Uzbekistan celebratory national day online comp for everyone around the world, and Bodhi's going to be competing. As well as him, I know that Kate Nye will be competing. It will be her first sort of main competition back in quite a few months. I think the last time she competed, at least internationally, might have actually been at the World Championships. No, she competed at the Arnold, which was technically an Olympic qualifier, though it was a bronze tier event. But even so, this will be her first one back since then, at least, back in April. Or was it even March? It's been a long time. As well as those two, I believe that Ritvars and Harris will be competing. A lot of great lifters. So I'll try and cover that on next week's episode of the Weightlifting House news show. He also hit a 232 kilo triple in the front squat, which at 96 kilos is a tremendous set front squat. So shout out to Bodhi this week for some pretty good training. Okay, so let's move over now to the USA. We've got a bunch of the top female weightlifters, and I thought it would be worth kind of going through them and comparing a little bit. We'll start off with Mattie Sasser, who we haven't seen since the last international online weightlifting competition. The 64 kilo weightlifter just hit 103 kilos in the block snatch, followed by 105 kilos in the block snatch, which is 3 kilos over her competition PR that she hit at the 2019 Pan Am Games of 102 kilos. So she's doing really well. She's still got a bit to do if she wants to try and claim that 4th Olympic spot from the women, but she's actually in a pretty good position if those 4 weren't there. And this kind of shows just how much USA weightlifting has improved over the years, especially on the women's side, is that they're now at a point where not only are they trying to qualify people, they have too many people qualifying and only a certain number, 4 of those people can go. But she's going to continue fighting for that spot if she can. Now sticking with the USA women, it's 71 kilo Meredith Alwyn, who we haven't seen in a while. Of course, she did compete at the Roma World Cup where she had the meat of her life, really. I mean, she went 103, 134, which were huge competition PRs, at least in the snatch and the total for her. The 134, I think she might have equaled. She then went for, I believe it was even 137 at that competition and narrowly missed it on the jerk, which is rare for her because she does have a great lockout. But even so, she seems to be on the comeback finally. 130 kilos in the block, clean and jerk. And then she front squatted 143 kilos for a double, which was a 1 kilo PR. So she's looking great. She basically kind of took a bit of a backseat after that Roma World Cup competition. We hadn't seen her post a huge amount, at least nothing particularly heavy, but she's clearly ramping up now and just increasing the numbers of the USA women capable of going over the 100, 130 mark in that kind of 64 kilo plus bodyweight category. Kate Nye is absolutely back on the tear. Now, of course, a 76 kilo weightlifter despite her win as a world champion in the 71 kilo weight class. This week she just hit 125 kilos for a block power clean, which is amazing. I mean, she's never had the strongest or fastest pull. She's always had incredibly strong legs, a strong squat. So I guess when she puts that bar right above the knee and she just finishes with the legs, she gets a tremendous amount of power, and that 125 kind of clearly demonstrates that. She also this week just hit a 112 kilo above the knee block snatch, or maybe it was right at the knee, I can't quite remember, but 112 kilos, that equals her best ever competition snatch of 112 at the World Championships, where she won the gold medal for, of course. After that, she then attempted a 116 kilo block snatch, which she just narrowly missed. It's definitely there. I don't know whether her pull from the floor is quite up to scratch, but we're going to see, because like I said, she's going to be competing at this online competition in the, well, within the next, I guess, 4 days, or probably by the time you've seen this, within the next day or two. And so we'll see kind of where she's at. But she's looking really good. She then also just hit, just to kind of catch things up on the other side of the competition, a 130 kilo clean and jerk. So a clean and jerk looks good. Her snatch definitely looks good. We'll kind of see where she's at, because some other lifters in the USA are doing phenomenally well. One of whom is Mattie Rogers, who now, of course, is forced to go up to a slightly heavier weight class. She just competed at a national kind of like a, I think it was, she lives in Florida, Miami, Florida. She lives in Florida. It was a Floridian competition, if that's the way you describe competitions in Florida. But she had great training in the build-up to this. She did 108, 135 in training, which she actually called her openers. Now, there weren't actually quite her openers in the competition, but she did beat that as a total. So 108, 135 is enormous for her to do in training. But then in competition, she snatched 110 on her third attempt, which is a competition PR for her, which was amazing. She then went 130, 135, which she made for a huge 245 kilo total. And then she went for 140 kilos, which, I mean, she cleaned it, and she cleaned it really well. She cleaned it much better than she cleaned that 140 kilos whenever that was. Was it the World Championships? It might well have been. We'll play that here in case you haven't seen that 140. But even so, I mean, if she'd have made that, that would have been a 250 kilo total. It would have definitely put her above Jenny's best of 247 kilos, Jenny Arthur, who she's kind of fighting for that place of in that 87 kilo category for the Olympics. Though right now Mattie does sit consistently, considerably in the lead there. But even so, 245, it's closing in on Jenny's best total. I imagine with another year of training, plus another, gosh, she only weighed 77.1 at this competition, so she's got another 10 kilos that she can gain. So with a year of training and another 10 kilos, that 245 kilo total is surely going to get to 250 and hopefully even beyond. My favourite current super heavyweight is definitely Coach Mary, and this week she just did some absolutely astonishing lifts once again. So I'll start with the least impressive, even though it's still very impressive, and then I'll go to the most ridiculous lift. So she just hit 118 kilos in the snatch for, I believe that's a PR, a couple kilo PR, something like that, which is really nice. Before that she did 110 and 115 on the way up. But then here's a more ridiculous part. So the American record in that super heavyweight category is 162 kilos. She just jerked 182 kilos, 20 kilos over that American record. 400 pounds, just 4 kilos below Li Wenwen's world record. In fact, the best ever clean and jerk by a woman is 193 kilos. She's just 11 kilos under that. If you compare this as how close it is to a world record in the jerk, she's about as close as almost anyone. I mean, to be fair, Harrison has done 214 kilos. He never posted a video, but he did it. That's 7 kilos over the world record. But let's exclude him. This might be basically the closest jerk to a world record jerk from any American in the world right now. And then finally, from the USA, let's move over to 109 kilo Wes Kitts, who I haven't checked in on in a little while. The way I'm actually doing an interview for the film that's coming out, or the documentary that's coming out about him and his life lifting US, lifting us, playing words, I don't know which one it's going to be. I'm doing that interview tomorrow, which will be really fun. But Wes is doing really well in training right now. Finally got back to clean and jerking 200 kilos plus, and his legs are coming back as well. He had a nice double at 265 kilos and a nice double at 270 kilos, which is actually right up there, about 90% of his best ever squat for a double. So he's doing really well right now. And then finally, we're going to move down south to Colombia with 96 kilo Jonathan Rivas, one of the best snatches in the world, especially for that 96 kilo weight category. In fact, he's one of 5 weightlifters in that 96 kilo class who snatched 180 kilos or more in competition. Of course, we've got Saurabh Anradi, Tian Tao, Anton Pliesnoy, Yohenny Tskantsu, and then Jonathan Rivas. And Jonathan Rivas in training just posted videos of 170 kilos without straps in the snatch, and then a couple of singles with the straps also at 170 kilos. So working at top end percentages. Who knows, perhaps he's going to be competing this online qualifier too. But we don't see a whole lot of training from Jonathan Rivas, so it's just nice to see that anyway. Now, guys, that is the end of this week's episode of the Weightlifting House news show. But go nowhere, because we have Chad Wesley Smith, the one and only, the GOAT, the legend, calling into the show to analyse your squats. But before we do that, don't forget, head over to weightliftinghouse.com, grab yourselves some t-shirts, straps, books, barbells, plates, thumb tape. We've got the whole lot there. Also check out Virus International. Use discount code weightliftinghouse for 10% off all Virus clothing. That works in the USA and in Europe. And then lastly, it's code WEIGHTHOUSE15, capital W, capital H, for 15% off all Red H Nutrition supplements. So let's start over this way. So we're going to kick off with Hampton Morris, who is 16 years old. He's a, Josh, am I right? He's 67 kilo weightlifter.
Yeah.
60,
Yeah.
61 in his hashtags there.
Yeah, 61.
Oh gosh, 61. Good grief. 160 for 8. So I'm wondering if you could sort of break down his squat technique and maybe see where he could improve on or what he's doing particularly well.
Yeah.
And feel free to just either, throw stuff out as he's lifting or wait until after. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing here is someone who coached high school football for 3 years. If I ever had a kid who was 65-ish kilos and squatting 160 for 1, I would have been like, this guy is the truth, let alone someone doing it for 8. So what a exciting thing for USA Weightlifting to have athletes like this coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I feel the same. Giving him any tips right now might be, at least from me, incredibly hypocritical. So,
yeah, if anything, I mean, and it's really heavy and the set is long, so his knees are starting to come in, but not not a true valgus collapse. So the key that we give there is to screw your feet into the floor. I'd be telling him to have active feet. So he's actively externally rotating his feet into the floor, which will give him a little bit more stability at the hip, which could keep his knee tracking with his toes more. But it's not even like an actual valgus collapse or anything. So not too much to worry about.
And Chad, do you have a general kind of recommendation with grip width? I just noticed, like, looking at his, it looks a little wider, but I didn't know if you have like kind of a general recommendation for most people.
Yeah, so in the low bar squat, it's more significant than in the high bar squat. But I tell people to put their hands as close as their shoulder mobility will tolerate, and that the only caveat to that being, and for a lot of female athletes, younger, smaller guys, they might be able to put their hands so close that their elbow ends up aligned outside their hand. They can only put their hands so close as long as they can keep their elbows straight under or inside their hand.
A squat PR at 137.5 kilos by Ollie Kate. All right, let's let this restart again.
Yeah, so pretty solid as well. I mean, she's got a little bit of shift onto her right leg, which I've dealt with plenty in my career. So we have a YouTube video for that called "Fixing Hip Shift in the Squat." So Ollie Kate, check it out. That's something that can also be addressed through the active feet cue. But yeah, I mean, good looking squat if she can address that a bit and use both legs the whole time she can squat. Only using like 1.5 legs. So
if you can squat 300 pounds plus with 1.5 legs, you're doing all right, I think, at that point. Let's go with Joey Balzer because he's a big fan of the show.
People's Canadian.
Yeah.
Oh, these are just lovely looking squats here.
Yeah.
They are, aren't they?
Another thing that Kate could have done in the previous video is her knees shift backwards out of the hole some, so she focused on keeping pressure on her big toe or her knees over her toes longer. We have a bunch of YouTube videos about that as well. Yeah, the last guy that was looking pretty easy. I mean, that was definitely a more sub-maximal weight for him. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. That's one of the things I learned from you, and a lot of the information you put out with the squat specific to weightlifting is stay in the quads, keep the knees forward, stay in the legs rather than shifting up into the back. Because it's not so much for weightlifting. It's not let's build as big a squat as possible. Let's build a squat that's going to transfer as well as possible to weightlifting.
Exactly. Yeah, almost bring that full circle back to the throwing stuff and the general versus specific. Like having a big squat for squatting's sake should not be the goal of a weightlifter. You know, having a squat that drives up their lifting results is the goal. So you see some of these guys with these huge squats, but not a proportionate snatch and clean and jerk to go along with it. It's like, think about how much they're filling their cup up with the energy to add 5 kilos to that big squat, where they could put so much less attention to their squat or more attention to doing their squat in a way that benefits the lifts more, which is moving the bar faster, staying, you know, a more knee forward, more upright positions, and get a greater result in the stuff that matters, the sport.
Right. Absolutely. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Weightlifting House News Show, and I'll catch you all next time. For more videos, interviews, podcasts, programs, head over to patreon.com/weightliftinghouse for all of that. Guys, I'll speak to you soon.